Missing posters continue to pepper Salt Lake City streets, hoping to find an answer to the question, what happened to Mackenzie Lueck?
Where could she have gone? Her car has not been moved. Things aren't adding up.
Kinsey hasn't been heard from in nearly a week.
She's been missing since Monday.
The police have said that they have no reason to believe she's in danger, but at this point, it's been 7 days. Kenzie, if you can hear this, we are all worried and looking out for you 24/7.
It's 2 a.m. on a Monday morning in Salt Lake City, Utah, a city that's mostly quiet, mostly still, mostly asleep, but not everyone. In a house in the Fair Park neighborhood, a man is awake, and he's getting ready to leave. Before he walks out the door, he does something small, something that takes only a few seconds, but something that will later tell investigators exactly what kind of man they're dealing with. He walks over to his home security system and turns off every single camera, not because something startled him, not because he was panicking, not because anything had gone wrong. He turned them off because he had already decided what was going to happen that night, and he needed to make sure there was no record of it. That's not impulse. That's not rage. That's planning. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, a 23-year-old woman is rolling her luggage through Salt Lake City International Airport. She just landed from California. She's tired. She's grieving. She just buried her grandmother days earlier. She pulls out her phone and texts her parents, lets them know she landed safe, that she's heading back now. Then she gets into a Lyft. She tells the driver she's going to meet a friend. She seems completely calm, completely fine, completely unaware that the man waiting for her had already made up his mind. She was never going to make it home. Before we go any further, this video covers a real criminal case involving the murder of a young woman. Some of what you're about to hear may be difficult to listen to. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. And if any of this hits close to home for you, please reach out to someone you trust or seek the support you need. Her name was Mackenzie Lueck, but everyone who loved her called her Kenzie. She grew up in El Segundo, California, a small coastal town tucked between the sprawl of Los Angeles and the edge of the Pacific Ocean. A place where people actually know their neighbors, where families stay for generations, where a girl can ride her bike to the beach and feel completely safe. Mackenzie was the only daughter in a family of 4 children, 1 older brother, 2 younger ones, parents who adored her, a community that watched her grow up and claimed her as their own. She was the kind of kid who threw herself into everything: competitive swimmer, water polo player, teammate, friend. The kind of person who showed up early and stayed late, who started a breast cancer awareness club at her high school just because she thought it mattered. When she graduated in 2014, she made a decision that took some courage. She chose to go to the University of Utah, 700 miles from home, 700 miles from everything familiar, to build something for herself on her own terms, and she did exactly that. She pledged Alpha Chi Omega sorority, majored in kinesiology and pre-nursing, worked part-time at a biological testing laboratory, balanced school, work, social life, all of it largely on her own, in a city far from her family. Her sorority sisters said the moment they met her they knew she was different. One described her as a blonde bubble of happiness. Another said she was drawn to Mackenzie's energy from the very first time they were in the same room together. She became her sorority mentor, her big sister, her friend. Classmates who barely knew her told stories about how she would sit down next to someone in a lecture hall, learn their name, ask if they wanted to study together. In a campus full of people keeping to themselves, Mackenzie Lueck was the one reaching out. She loved her cat Nova so much that she threw her a birthday party every year, complete with a cake made of special cat food, champagne for the humans, party hats, confetti, and completely off-key singing. That was Kenzie. She wasn't just existing. She was living, planning, dreaming, talking to academic advisors about nursing school, about medical school, about a future where she spent every day helping people heal. Her father worked in healthcare logistics, and his daughter was following him into a life of service. She just hadn't gotten there yet. In June 2019, she boarded a flight back to California, not for a vacation, but to say goodbye to her grandmother. Geraldine Walker Stevens had passed away on June 10th. The funeral was held 5 days later. Mackenzie grieved with her family, held her brothers, spent time with her parents, then packed her bags and headed back to Utah. Back to her life, back to the future she was building. She never got there. Now, while Mackenzie was growing up throwing birthday parties for her cat and making strangers feel like old friends, a very different story was unfolding somewhere else entirely. Ayoola Ajayi grew up in Nigeria, came to the United States, and by every outward appearance, built a life that looked like the American dream. He studied computer science at Utah State University, served briefly in the Army National Guard, and worked his way into IT roles at some of the most recognizable names in corporate America: Dell, Goldman Sachs. The kind of resume that makes people nod with respect. His neighbor called him a smart guy, a computer geek, a man of high integrity, but that image, that carefully constructed surface, was covering something much darker. In 2012, he was banned from Utah State University, a stolen iPad, problems with his student visa, the kind of incident that gets filed away and forgotten. In 2014, a rape allegation came in from a town 80 miles north of Salt Lake City. The woman chose not to pursue charges, and Ajayi walked away without consequence. Again, in March 2018, he met a woman on a dating app, invited her to his house for dinner, and sexually assaulted her while they were watching television. She didn't come forward, not until she turned on the news more than a year later and saw his face. And then in April 2019, just weeks before Mackenzie's murder, Ajayi contacted a contractor. He had a job for him. He wanted to build a room, not just any room, a completely soundproof space hidden underneath his front porch, accessible only by his own thumbprint, with large hooks mounted above head height on the walls. The contractor asked what the hooks were for. Ajayi said it was for a wine rack. The contractor said he could build something much nicer for a wine rack than oversized hooks mounted at head height. Ajayi insisted on the hooks, told the contractor money was no object, said he needed it done as soon as possible. The contractor felt something shift in his gut. He thought about the soundproofing, the fingerprint lock, the hooks, and he turned the job down. He said later, nothing in his entire career had ever made him feel the way that conversation did. The pieces just didn't add up. He was right. By June 2019, Ayoola Ajayi had a documented trail of red flags stretching back 7 years. Allegations, incidents, a secret room designed for something no innocent person would ever need, and Mackenzie Lueck, 700 miles from home, trusting and warm and full of life, had absolutely no way of knowing any of it. If the story matters to you, hit that like button right now. Share this video so more people know who Mackenzie was, and subscribe to True Crime Corner so you never miss a case. Because what happened next, you need to hear. June 16, 2019, somewhere over the American Southwest. A young woman is sitting on a plane heading back to Utah. She had just said goodbye to her grandmother, just stood at a graveside with her family, just felt the kind of grief that reminds you how fragile everything is. But life doesn't pause for grief. She had classes to get back to, work, her sorority sisters, her plans, her future, and she had made arrangements to meet someone once she landed. Someone she had been talking to online for nearly a year. Someone she trusted. Someone she felt comfortable enough with to agree to meet in the middle of the night. She had no reason not to trust him. Not yet. The plane touches down at Salt Lake City International Airport just after 2 a.m. Mackenzie pulls out her phone and does what any daughter would do after a long flight. She texts her mother, "Landed. Love you, mama." Then she grabs her luggage, walks through the terminal, and gets into a lift. The driver picks her up and starts heading toward North Salt Lake. During the ride, Mackenzie seems completely fine, relaxed, calm. She tells the driver she's going to meet a friend. Nothing about her suggests anything is wrong. At approximately 3 a.m., the driver pulls into Hatch Park, a quiet neighborhood park with playgrounds and a baseball diamond. The kind of place that feels completely ordinary in the daytime, At 3 a.m., it's just dark and still. Mackenzie gets out of the car. She greets the person waiting for her. She appears happy to see them. Not frightened, not hesitant. She transfers her luggage into their car, and she gets in. The Lyft driver watches them pull away and continues on to his next ride. He had no idea he had just become the last person who would ever see Mackenzie Lueck alive. Now here is the part that changes everything. Before Ajayi ever left his house that night, before he drove to that park, before Mackenzie's plane even landed, he had already made his decision. He walked over to his home security system and turned off every camera, not because he was scared, not because something had gone wrong, because he had planned this. And he needed to make sure there was no footage of her ever being at his house. That single act, turning off those cameras, told investigators everything they needed to know about his state of mind that night. This was not a crime of passion. This was premeditated. Phone records would later confirm that both his phone and Mackenzie's phone were at Hatch Park within the exact same minute. At 2:58 a.m., Mackenzie sent her last text message to Ajayi. 1 minute later, her phone went completely dark. It never turned back on again. Once inside his home in the Fair Park neighborhood, Ajayi tied Mackenzie's hands behind her back. Zip ties and rope. He began choking her. Mackenzie told him to stop. She pleaded with him to stop. He did not stop. He pushed her onto her stomach, wrapped a belt around her neck, and strangled her until she stopped moving. Mackenzie Lueck, 23 years old, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a future nurse who wanted to spend her life helping people, was gone. What happened in the hours after Mackenzie's death tells you everything you need to know about Ayoola Ajayi. There was no breakdown, no panic, no moment where the weight of what he had done caught up with him. There was nothing like that at all. What came next was cold, calculated, and completely deliberate. A methodical step-by-step effort to make Mackenzie Lueck disappear from the face of the earth. As the sun began to come up on the morning of June 17th, a guest staying in the basement Airbnb of Ajayi's home woke up and walked outside. He found Ajayi already up, already moving, sitting on a trash can next to his car in the driveway. Ajayi asked him a question that seemed odd at the time. He wanted to know if the guest knew how to siphon gasoline out of a vehicle. The two of them drove to a nearby store together. Ajayi bought a gas can, filled it up, and they drove back to the house. When the guest stepped back outside after taking a shower, there was already a fire burning in the backyard. Ajayi told him he was burning some old pallets, said his trash cans were full and he needed to get rid of them. The guest thought nothing of it, but a neighbor who caught a glimpse of that fire from nearby noticed something that they couldn't shake: the smell. They later told investigators it was unlike anything they had ever smelled before in their life. Not wood, not trash, something else entirely. Something that stayed in their memory long after the smoke had cleared. What Ajayi was burning that morning wasn't pallets. He was using gasoline to burn Mackenzie's body, her clothing, her belongings, destroying as much evidence as he possibly could in the early morning hours while his neighborhood was still waking up. When the fire died down, he buried what remained in his backyard. Then he gathered some of her personal items, her University of Utah student ID card, her clothing, and he drove to the nearby Jordan River, and he threw them in. For days after that, life on the surface looked almost normal. Ajayi went about his routine. His Airbnb guests came and went. The neighborhood carried on, but investigators were starting to move. Questions were being asked. Doors were being knocked on. People were starting to notice that a young woman hadn't been heard from. And then detectives showed up at Ajayi's door. That night, after they left, he went into his backyard, and he dug her up. He loaded what remained of Mackenzie into his car, and he drove nearly 85 miles north of Salt Lake City, up into Logan Canyon, winding roads, dense trees, the kind of remote terrain that swallows secrets. He found a spot just off the main road, beneath some trees, and he dug a shallow grave. and he buried her there. Then he drove back home. And he waited. He sat in the same house where he had killed her. Walked past the same backyard where he had burned her. And he waited, composed, as if nothing had happened at all. That kind of coldness doesn't come from panic. That is who Ayoola Ajayi was.
Did you meet with her up in Salt Lake that night? No. Okay, your phone records are going to show different.
A week and a half now to prepare. And we have been very busy because I care about Mackenzie and I want her. I think you did care about her. I agree. And I know that there's more for you to tell me and you're holding back and I don't understand why. AJ, I just told you that your phone records and the location put you up at the meet. Do you think, honestly, and expect me to believe that you ended that conversation and somehow you and her location end up in the exact same spot?
Oh, I'm not doubting you. If I see that too, if I'm in your case, I would be asking myself, what are you asking me right now?
It's not a miraculous question.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
Stuff doesn't just happen.
No.
Yes, I agree with you.
I'm telling you to explain that. And so far, you have not.
Well, how do I explain something I don't know?
Are you saying you don't know or you don't remember? Because those are two different things.
He's not happy about it.
Yeah, they didn't give me the search warrant. I authorized it before. And then when they said the search...
We don't have the search warrant in hand.
Can I borrow your phone then to call my lawyer?
I'm going to give you her phone number right now. You remember her name? When we went that?
Susanna.
Yep.
Is there anyone else in there?
You go check her.
Let's make sure.
What's your
Please.
guys?
All right,
Drop the gloves.
You're gonna wait until the search warrant gets here?
You can search when I get here. But not say it's going out. So you search when I get here.
We're not gonna search anything. We're doing this.
Clear in this room, clear in the bathroom.
They are scrolling through my phone. Without the warrant, they are going through my phone.
You done with the phone?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
You wanna? No garage, no house, no car. I'm not.
The update, man. We'll call it.
I have no update.
You look like mailbox, man.
By the way, we both got our best.
I look like what?
You're like the mailbox. USPS.
Oh, that's
I am USPS. Like we said, as soon as we know something, I'll tell you, okay?
I better hope he's not the postal service. That means he's going to raise his rates every day, not be efficient.
Exactly. Did you say you're going to which library?
It's a library down this road.
Oh, on the other side of the freeway.
Yeah.
100 West?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a new one, right?
Yeah, it's very new. It has couch that I can just sleep. But I will be there, and I don't have a phone, but if you guys walk in, I will sit where you can see me.
Okay.
I will tell them, and maybe they'll send me to pick you up to see if you want to come back.
The police officer picking me up there, that would be
In my nice red Camry. But if you pee in it, I'll take you to jail. Like
But I have to pee.
Alright, AJ.
Good luck, man.
So is that where you'll probably be?
Yeah, unless you want me to stay, I'm happy to stay.
No, you're welcome to leave if you want to. If we wanted to come talk to you, is that where you think you'll be?
Yes.
Okay. Alright. Good luck, man.
Thank you. Spend a couple $100 on trees.
What's going on, man?
So, detectives are ready to talk to you about everything that's going on real fast, so if you want to come, I'll give you right back to the house real quick.
But there's Fox News over there.
I know, I'm going to drive you back in my car. It's a Camry, so...
But
Is that yours?
We'll stay away from the news.
Yeah, we're not going to go by the news. We don't
But I don't want my face on the news.
I will do that so it does. Okay, so stand up real quick.
We're just gonna. Oh, yeah, are you arresting me or something?
No. Stand up.
Then why you're gonna be detained for a little bit?
You're being detained, but just for a second, okay? I gotta put you in handcuffs just while we're driving.
Per policy, we're
Just gonna go talk to detectives for a little bit. Why is he detaining me?
Because you need to talk to detectives, and I need to transport you back. So my policy says every time someone's in my car, they will wear handcuffs. So that's why they're.
Oh, there's a news over there.
They can come right back.
We're probably not going to take. We'll take you to another spot, so you're not by the news.
Okay.
We should hung up. How did the news find out?
3 days passed after Mackenzie landed in Salt Lake City. 3 days of silence. No calls, no texts, no social media, nothing. On June 20th, her father picked up the phone and called the Salt Lake City Police Department. His daughter was missing, and no one had heard a single word from her since the night she landed. What followed was one of the most digitally intensive missing persons investigations the city had ever seen. And it would ultimately come down not to eyewitnesses or physical evidence alone, but to the invisible trail that every phone, every device, every digital interaction leaves behind, whether you want it to or not. Detectives made clear from the very beginning that this was a digital forensic investigation. They were chasing cell phones, computers, IP addresses, texting apps, location pings. Every piece of digital footprint Mackenzie and the person she met that night had left in the hours surrounding her disappearance. When they pulled Mackenzie's phone records, they found something immediately important. In the hours before she vanished, she had been communicating with an anonymous number through a third-party texting application. The kind of app designed to mask identities. The kind of app someone uses when they don't want to be found. But here is the thing about digital anonymity. It is rarely as airtight as people think. Investigators requested the IP address data attached to that anonymous number, traced it through the back end of the app, and it led them directly to one person, Ayoola Ajayi. Cell tower records then confirmed what the phone data had already suggested. Both Mackenzie's phone and Ajayi's phone were at Hatch Park at the exact same time. Within the same single minute, at 3 a.m. on June 17th, airport surveillance footage showed Mackenzie moving through the terminal that night, rolling her luggage, calm, composed, alive, and separate video footage captured near the North Salt Lake area showed Ajayi's car leaving the vicinity of Hatch Park in the minutes immediately after the lift dropped Mackenzie off. The digital picture was becoming undeniable, but Ajayi wasn't done playing his role. On June 24th, a full week after Mackenzie had disappeared, he did something that stunned investigators. He walked voluntarily into the Salt Lake City Police Department. He sat down across from detectives and he performed. He handed over his phone passwords, offered access to his laptop, gave them entry to his security system, answered every single question with a calm and cooperative demeanor. He even showed what appeared to be genuine concern about what might have happened to Mackenzie. But when detectives pressed him on whether he had actually met her in person that night, his story shifted. He claimed that Mackenzie had simply stopped responding to him after he sent her a photo of himself, suggested maybe she wasn't interested once she saw what he looked like, insisted they had never actually met face to face. Never. Detectives sat across from him, listened carefully, took their notes, thanked him for coming in, and kept digging, because the data they already had told a completely different story. On June 26th, investigators moved. They served a search warrant on Ajayi's property in the Fair Park neighborhood. A cadaver dog was brought onto the grounds, and within moments of entering the backyard, it indicated on a specific area of soil that had clearly been disturbed. Investigators began digging, and what they found confirmed every fear that had been building since June 20th. Charred human remains, personal items belonging to Mackenzie, and DNA evidence that came back as a match. On June 28th, Ayoola Ajayi was arrested, charged with kidnapping and aggravated murder. He had been living in that house, going about his life, sitting across from detectives and lying to their faces, while Mackenzie's remains were buried in his backyard for 11 days. But the story wasn't over yet. After his arrest, Ajayi's legal team reached out to prosecutors and revealed that there was another location. On July 3rd, police drove 85 miles north of Salt Lake City into Logan Canyon. They searched the tree line just off the main road, and they found a shallow grave. They recovered what remained of Mackenzie Lueck. Her arms were still bound behind her back, exactly the way he had left her. She had been lying there in that canyon for over 2 weeks,
TV was on the scene as this unfolded and captured this exclusive video. You can see officers in tactical gear gathering on the side of the building, weapons drawn. Murder suspect Ayoola Ajayi is then seen slowly walking toward the officers with his hands raised, one hand holding a cell phone to his ear. As he reaches the officers, the 31-year-old hands over the phone. The SWAT team members lower their guns and place Ajayi in handcuffs. Officers then enter the building. Minutes later, they return and transfer Ajayi across the street to the back seat of a police car. Later this afternoon, crime scene vehicles showed up and entered the building with bags and cameras. This all happened very quickly, really less than a half hour.
AJ?
Anything in your pockets that I need to be aware of or anything like that? Put that in there for you. We'll put that in there for you. Whose cuffs are those? Hold on to that for a second for me. Ayoola, do me a favor. Just stand up and face the wall for me. I'm going to make sure you got everything off you.
In October 2020, more than a year after Mackenzie's murder, Ayoola Ajayi was brought into a courtroom in an orange jail jumpsuit, glasses, a blue face mask covering the lower half of his face. He stood before a judge and was asked how he pleaded. His voice was barely audible. He hung his head and said 2 words, "Guilty." Your Honor, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And as part of his plea agreement, prosecutors also addressed a 2018 sexual assault case involving another woman he had met on a dating app. A woman who only came forward after she saw his face on the news and recognized the man who had attacked her during a dinner at his home. And if that wasn't enough, investigators had also found something else on his devices during the search of his property. 19 counts worth of child sexual exploitation material. Images of children as young as 4 years old. Those charges were dismissed as part of the deal, but they paint a picture of a man whose depravity ran far deeper than anyone in his neighborhood, his workplace, or his social circle ever imagined. Here is what we know now that we didn't fully understand then. This didn't start with Mackenzie. 2012, banned from a university campus over a stolen iPad and visa violations. 2014, a rape allegation that surfaced and then quietly disappeared when the woman chose not to pursue charges. 2018, a sexual assault that went unreported for over a year. And then April 2019, a contractor who walked away from a job involving a soundproofed secret room with head height hooks and a fingerprint entry lock, who reported it to police the moment he saw Ajayi's face on the news. At every single one of those moments, there was a thread, a signal, an opportunity for something to catch. And nothing did. Mackenzie was not his first victim, and based on everything investigators found, she may not have been intended as his last. The question this case demands we sit with is not only about what Ayoola Ajayi did. It is about every moment before June 17th where the system had a chance to see what was coming and looked away. Mackenzie's father stood before cameras after the sentencing and spoke about his daughter. He said she was a sweet and amazing young lady with the world ahead of her, a kind-hearted person who cared about others. He said he will never get to see her blossom in life, and those words, as simple and as devastating as they are, say everything that needs to be said. Mackenzie Lueck flew home to bury her grandmother and never made it back. She was 23 years old. She wanted to be a nurse. She wanted to spend her days helping people heal. She threw birthday parties for her cat. She reached out to strangers in lecture halls and made them feel seen. She was a daughter and a sister and a friend and a light in every room she walked into. She deserved so much more than what happened to her in the early hours of June 17, 2019. And she deserves to be remembered